Hello, everyone. So today we are trying something kind of crazy, kind of new. We are going to live record our podcast. This is episode number 15, and we'll tell you why we're doing this in a little bit, but I want to bring Jay on, and we are going to just see what happens. I'm a little nervous, and I apologize. My audio quality is not the best on my phone, but unfortunately, I don't have the ability to go on Instagram Live on my computer. So we're going to have to deal with my broken-ass phone. And I guess we'll edit this part out. Let's see what happens. Alright. Hopefully, eventually. Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
Good. Are you ready to live podcast?
Yeah.
I don't really know what to expect. I feel like I'm a little nervous. I'm a little bit like, but it's all good.
Yeah,
We're gonna do good.
I think so.
So I guess we should just get started like we usually do and do the intro and do the thing.
Well, yeah, hey everyone. So this is Jay and Steph. We're doing our trying to first ever sort of live episode of the Stay Introverted Podcast. And the reason we're doing a live episode is because for some reason we thought we recorded an episode that we may have or did not. I have no idea. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I dreamed about it, but I remember doing an episode about the workplace, but it's
I thought
gone. So
we did too.
so
I
we're just
can't
gonna
find it.
record it live, see what
Yeah.
happens. And perhaps ironically or unironically, I don't know, we're recording this episode and I'm on my bed. I'm normally at my desk with my mic, but couldn't figure out how to connect the mic to my phone, couldn't figure out how to do Instagram Live from a computer. So we are going to be talking about being introverted in the workplace while I'm on my bed, and I swear to God, I actually do work in an office, so I you'll believe me eventually at some point in the episode.
I'm in my home office. I guess it's kind of a midpoint.
Okay. And I guess like on the other side of this, I did just come home from working in the office all day. Of course, I immediately came home and put my pajamas on, which is not helping my case right now. But I swear, guys, I do normally work in an office like a couple days a week.
Fair enough.
Should we give like the official intro? Like, welcome to the Stay Introverted Pod. Like, I don't know how this thing
I
works.
have no idea. Welcome to the live episode of the Stay Introverted Podcast. I'm Jay Coleman. Who are you?
Who am I? I'm Steph Laffey. That's a loaded question, though.
And yeah, this is our first live episode, so we want to see how this thing goes. But I guess let's kind of start off. How is it in your opinion? I know I have my own feelings, but what is it like being an introvert in the workplace? And you can take that in a general manner or your specific job.
Yeah. So, and by the way, guys, before I answer, feel free to chime in the conversation. Let us know your thoughts on your introverted experience in the workplace at any point. If anything that we're saying is resonating, feel free to drop your thoughts in the comments and be part of the podcast conversation. And we will absolutely shout you out if you say anything interesting. And if you don't say and if you say anything that's uninteresting, we'll probably also shout you out. So just know we are going to put this on the podcast. Anywho, what is it like being an introvert in the workplace? Well, if you asked me that question a couple years ago, like pre-COVID, I probably would have, like, I don't know if I really would have been able to answer you because that was really the only option, right? Since COVID, so early on in COVID, I hated the fact that we had to work from home because I am somebody who needs routine, and all of a sudden my routine was ripped out from under me, and so I didn't really know. First of all, I didn't know I was an introvert at the time, and second of all, I didn't know what to do with all that extra time. Now that I didn't have to wake up at 5 a.m., and now that I had nothing else going on other than work, I didn't know where to put myself. Now that I know I'm an introvert, and now that I've sort of settled into a routine, I really like this whole hybrid thing. I struggled for a while with the whole work from home thing. Now I don't think I could ever go back to working 5 days a week in an office. So I'm really liking this hybrid thing. I like the flexibility of being able to choose which days I go in. Um, I sometimes I kind of change my mind each week about which days I'm gonna go in, which my bosses I'm sure don't love, but too bad. Just kidding. Hopefully none of them listen to this podcast. But anyway, enough about me. How do you feel about being introverted in the workplace?
Real quick, World Traveler 72 said I dread the entire year leading up to the company office Christmas party. Uh, Same. But I haven't been to a party in the office in about 5 years,
Wow.
so looking
Okay.
looking to keep that streak going.
It's funny, just to respond to that comment really quick. I normally look forward to the office Christmas party. I love it. It's so much fun. But after this past Christmas party, I am with you there. I'm kind of dreading the next one. And you can ask me any questions you want. We'll go into why. But first, I want to hear your thoughts about being introverted in the workplace.
It's hard, particularly in the corporate world because I'm a quiet person naturally. So people, uh, they think that you're mute or you're not a team player, and it's exhausting sometimes
Mm-hmm.
because I show that I'm interested and I care or that I actually give a damn by doing my work and doing it well,
Right.
and doing it on time. To me, that's why I'm at work. I'm not at work to kick it and chat and chit chat and have a party. I'm here to do
Right.
my job and go home. So, I've actually been called out for not talking. Like someone asked me, Jay, do you ever talk? And I'm like, yeah, I just don't feel like it. So it can be very, very exhausting, very tiring.
Right.
And again, this is primarily before I really understood and accepted that I was an introvert.
Right.
Now that I have, I really don't care. I'm just going to be myself. And I find that works. I accept the fact that I'm a quiet person. Other people see that I'm not changing for anyone, um, and I think they respect it, and they don't have to like it. And if they don't, I don't really care. But I think they respect the fact that I'm not just going to chit chat to make somebody else feel better. And I don't know. I don't know if surprisingly is the word, but it's actually worked out where I'm able to establish a better relationship with my coworkers because they know that hey, if I'm talking, it's because I have something to say, or that it's something that I'm actually interested in.
Okay.
So yeah, it used to be pretty exhausting, but it's gotten okay. I am a fan. I was, you know, except for all the people dying, getting sick. I was fine during the pandemic as far as
Minus
staying home.
that part.
Yeah, mine is that part. Uh, I didn't mind staying home. I'm definitely a fan of this hybrid um, setup, and it's funny because like the job that I have, it's hybrid, but I have not been in office since I started at this
Right.
job, so I'm fine with that.
Right. I hear you. And do you think that So did you learn that you were an introvert or accept your introversion during COVID, or did that come before?
Probably came up a little bit before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were you already kind of not caring about like what people thought at that point?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
okay,
but
cool.
I mean, it worked because I have. You know, this is also where having a good team and like decent coworkers help. And a good manager. Like we've talked a lot. Like my old boss, we're friends to this day. But he's probably one of the most extroverted people you'll ever meet. Like he didn't think I cared about my job, but I had to show him that I do. I'm not. I talk when I have something to say. I'm a man of few words when I do talk, and I'm very reserved. And he accepted that. Like, he didn't try to change who I was. His thing was, as long as you get the work done and get it done on time and right, hey. And like through that, we actually grew closer.
Right.
And that flowed, like that type of leadership flowed down to the rest of the team, where everyone was kind of allowed to be themselves.
Right.
Respectfully, of course. Like no assholes are allowed there.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, it kind of helped me in my career, helped me get along with everyone else, everyone else kind of get along with me, and then in a way that helped me kind of open up more. It kind of gave me the confidence to take on more like public speaking roles and take on assignments where I had to lead meetings or teach about certain things or give lectures or train people. Yeah, I mean, I was aware of being an introvert prior to the pandemic, but um, having a great boss and team helps kind of marry introversion in the workplace. And I don't know if everyone has or has had that kind of experience that I've had. I'm lucky that I've had it.
Absolutely. And I think that that's so key to really just, thriving in any kind of environment is having people that accept you just the way you are and don't try to force you to be someone or something that you're not. Like, I know this is kind of bringing up memories of the conversation that we had with Terrence Lee last week on the episode that's going to be airing soon about how, you know, not knowing we're introverted or not being able to embrace the fact that we're introverted has made all of us in the past feel like we have to act a certain way, be a certain way, pretend to be extroverted. And I think, at least in my experience, knowing that I was introverted and finding out that I was introverted allowed me to stop trying to put on a weird facade at work. Um, like I stopped feeling like I had to act like I was smarter than I was, or I stopped feeling like I had to act like I knew all the things that people were talking about, or I stopped feeling like I had to act energized at 9 in the morning, which I'm freaking not. Um, I think learning how to just embrace my energy and my introversion has helped me to really step up and thrive at work in a way that works with my energy and like works with my flow and works with my way of just doing really well. So I'm curious sort of what your experience has been with that.
Well, I'll say I'm definitely not a morning person either. In the morning, I need about 8 to 10 hours to kind of get ready for the day. So it's just not a big thing for me. But Travel said you hit the nail on the head. It's exhausting when you're expected to reciprocate conversation. This is one reason why I left the military and became a truck driver.
I'm sure you feel a lot more. I don't know. Do you feel more relaxed? Because I like the idea of driving. I feel like maybe my ADD. I just can't handle driving. But do you, do you feel like more relaxed, like being on the road by yourself all day? Like how is that? I'm assuming that's probably an introvert's dream or most introverts' dream. Maybe not
I
me
would,
because I can't pay attention, but
I'll say this. I don't want to speak for all traveler, but I personally love just driving.
Oh yeah.
Don't I don't have to have any sort of destination in mind. Like I'll just get in the car and go drive somewhere just because it's time by myself. You're just alone, in the car with your thoughts. Put on a little music. You ain't got to worry about people trying to tell you what to play. Um, and you can kind of
Oh,
just
that's
be
true.
alone, be free with your own thoughts, and you're also in motion. And it was just a very freeing experience, I guess.
That's
To
so
kind of
funny.
just be driving, no one around, just by yourself. I love it.
That's so funny. That's probably why I like a friend of mine asked me the other day, like, why don't you travel? I'm like, well, I can't drive, safely. And then I'm also an introvert, so I don't like being on public transportation. I don't like being in airports. I don't like being in planes. I'm afraid to ride a bike. So basically, it's just better if I walk, and there's only so far that I can walk. So I don't travel if I can help it.
Yeah, I don't. I actually okay. I'm from Queens, so we all about public transportation. But I agree. I like buses, but I'm not a fan of the subway because it's just a lot of people
Right.
in a
It's so
close
crowded.
kind of space. Just not my thing. But it's like you learn kind of what seats to get and kind of where to stand in a car. But yeah, for the most part, I'm not a subway person. Um, I don't travel because I don't have any money. That's just it.
Fair enough. All right, well, we're gonna change that with this podcast. I can feel it. Um, but it's like speaking of the subway, one thing I have to say about the hybrid schedule is like not only have they become a lot more flexible with what days I go in, they're also a lot more flexible with the times of day that I go in, which is great because I have learned with the New York City subway that um after like if you go on the subway anytime before 9 a.m., it's gonna be you're gonna be in a sardine can. It's the most anxiety inducing place on the planet is an underground subway in New York that you're packed to the brim with other people and their bullshit. But after 9 a.m., it doesn't matter if it's 9:01, you get on a train and it's freaking empty, you have a seat, like you can travel in peace. And the fact that I'm allowed to get into the office at 9:30 allows me to take the subway at a time where I can be more relaxed and like ease into my day, which allows me to just have a much better day. Like if I take the train 5 minutes earlier, it just throws me off for the whole day. But now that I'm allowed to come in a little bit later, I'm allowed to travel in a way that makes me feel calm, which is,
That's cool.
yeah, it's huge.
I would say the worst. I don't know. The worst case scenario on the subway um, would be to be on the subway in the tunnel and the power goes out.
Oh
Where
my
you
God.
were, I don't know where you were in '03, but I was when we had that blackout in '03. I was on the E train and we had just left a station
Oh
and we were
wow.
we were cruising and everything just stopped and we were just underground in the dark for an hour
Oh my gosh, that's
and it was hot
horrible.
as hell.
I've never had that on the subway, but I remember Halloween. Remember Halloween? Like I want to say, can you hear me?
Yep,
Halloween 2011. I want to say it snowed in New York City, and like
I remember.
trees.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was fucking weird. The trees still had leaves, so everything was falling over. It was horrible. Um, and I went to the city with my friends, and we got stuck on a train for like 4 hours into like literally 5 minutes before the Secaucus train station because a tree fell in the middle of the road. And we ended up having to get out of the train and like walk on the tracks for like half a mile in the snow to the next train that had to come and meet us on the other side of the tree.
Yeah.
Crazy. How did we get here?
I don't know. Well, enough of these train transit tangents. All right, back to being an introvert in the workplace. I guess for me, the worst, and again, it's something we talk about offline, but I guess the low point for me was when I was accused of being racist at work because I didn't talk to people.
Wow.
Yeah, that was not fun. I was working at a hospital, and one of my coworkers who I was actually pretty cool with, because she allowed me to be myself, and she understood rather that I talk when I have something to say. I'm not really here to just talk all day. But she pulled me to the side and she was like, "Yo, Jay, can I ask you a question?" And I was like, "Sure. Do you got a problem with this woman here?" I'm not gonna say her name. I'm not gonna give it a respect. Didn't even say her name no more. But she asked me, "Do you have a problem with this woman?" I was like, "No, why?" So she thinks that you're racist against white people because you don't talk to her. And I just like I just stared at her for like a minute, and I was like, "Can you say that again, please?" She's like, "Yeah, she thinks that you're racist, that you don't like white people because you don't talk to her."
Wow.
And I'm like, "I don't talk to anybody. I- I'm just here to do my job.
I'm
Like I
just an
don't,
introvert.
yeah, like I don't understand why, because I just choose to focus on my job, and I'm not really trying to have a have a discussion or a conversation with really anybody. That's somehow made me racist. But I told her like, no, I don't really talk to anybody. And
No, I'm
this
definitely not going
doesn't
to talk to
really
her.
like this isn't going to provide me any more motivation to talk to her. I can
Right.
promise you that. So
And it's not because I'm racist, it's because she's weird.
it is. It is. It's just like I don't even know how to handle that. I'm just like, all right, whatever. And I literally just went back to work and didn't even like think about it the rest of the day because it was just so weird.
That's
Like
so
I've
funny.
been called mean. I've been called antisocial, standoffish, aloof, loner. That was new. That was a new one.
Wow. Now you're racist because you don't talk. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes me think like I feel like there's a lot of rhetoric or like almost like misunderstanding in the workplace of what introversion even means. And I don't even know if it's just limited to the workplace or if it's just like that most people that work in the corporate world are extroverted or aren't in tune with the fact that they're introverted or what do you think it is? Why is there such a lack of understanding what about the different personalities and how do we overcome that as a society?
Oh, I mean, I do think a lot of unfortunately, this world kind of celebrates what people consider to be more extroverted qualities, but I don't think people understand necessarily that all every quality isn't limited to being an extrovert.
Uh-huh.
Extroverts, or excuse me, introverts can be leaders as well. Like they can get things done.
Right.
We just go about it differently. Um, I also think that there's just a lack of trying to understand that some people just don't feel like talking as much or at all.
Right.
People look at that as weird. I don't understand why, but it's not. Again, if you take the time to actually get to know someone, you would understand this. But for some reason, folks just look at things that are different as weird or wrong or
Right.
something that has to be fixed. And introversion is none of those things.
Right. Yeah, it is what it is. I was born an introvert. Like that's just who I am. And a world traveler here, World Traveler 72 said, "Have you noticed that introverts can identify extroverted personalities, but extroverts only see something wrong with introverts?" Absolutely. And that kind of And there was a couple other comments that I want to go back and read shortly, but since we're on this topic, I want to just address this really quickly. I remember several occasions before I knew I was an introvert where I would constantly get like pressured to answer a question like right away. Like the second an extroverted manager or superior had a thought or a question that they needed an answer to, they were like, "What are you doing?" Like, I've been waiting for half an hour. I've been waiting for an hour, or I've been waiting since this morning. Like, why are you taking so long to get me an answer? And being an introvert, I was like, "Slow your roll, bro." Like, I didn't say that. I was too shy. But it was like, slow down. Like, you just asked me earlier, and you didn't specify that you needed this like yesterday. You said you needed an answer by close of business.
Exactly.
I've got 85 other tasks that are equally important, if not more important than your question. So either A, like, let me know that this is urgent and you need me to like drop everything for you, or B, recognize that like I don't work here. Well, I guess I work for you if you're my manager, but like I don't like I can't just like live and breathe and like just drop everything the second that you have a thought, because how many times in the past have I dropped everything like, and only for you to just like find the answer yourself, or like realize that it wasn't that important. Like, I feel like I was trying to answer this question, but I kind of got lost. Um, but I definitely feel like my extroverted colleagues were able to sort of drop everything and like move back and forth between things a lot better than I was. And my managers never really had patience for me when I wasn't able to just switch back and forth between 10 different things.
Yeah. I think you kind of touched on that a little bit. I think that introverts we're definitely more introspective. Which is actually your handle on IG.
Introspective AF.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Definitely a lot more introspective, a lot more analytical, and I think that kind of drives or leads into being a lot more patient than extroverts. Like we're not. It just seems that they're always kind of, like I said, hopping from one thing to the next.
Right.
And I don't know if it's just instant gratification. I don't know if it's just an inability to savor the the moment as opposed to just hopping from moment to moment.
Right.
Um, hmm. but it's something that I've noticed. I'm not going to go as far as say as extroverts have a shorter attention span, although I've seen enough empirical evidence or anecdotal evidence, I guess, to suggest that. But I'm not going to fire any shots off, or I'm not going to fire off any more shots, I guess. And I sure is today
Right. Well,
about that.
I don't think that it's necessarily a matter of attention span, because like, as somebody who's introverted and has the attention span of a goldfish, like, I'm definitely not an extrovert, but I have the attention problem. I think it's more a lack of patience and a lack of like, you're not like, I understand that you're the main character in your world and like what you're trying to get done, but I'm trying to do my work too, and I just can't hop in between 50 different topics all at once. So either like, if it's really important, like, sure, I'll stop what I'm doing and get you an answer, but like, you need to let me know that this is urgent and can't wait. Otherwise, you're gonna be in the back of the line.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
It's dealing with extroverts is definitely interesting, but kind of how you said, like we actually take the time to try to understand how extroverts are, and I think a part of that is because we kind of have to,
Right.
because like I said before,
That's the default.
because like this world is geared towards more extroverted people with extroverted qualities. So it's kind of like if you're an introvert, you're living in two worlds. Like you have your own
Right.
world with your own personality, but you have the real world, I guess, where you have to kind of, to a certain extent, assimilate or capitulate to people, and it's just something that you learn. You just learn how to do. I don't want to speak for you, but as I can imagine, as a woman, there's kind of how you deal with life, and then this world that's geared towards men in a way where you have to navigate it a certain way.
Oh yeah, being an introverted woman in an extroverted male-dominated industry, fun time. Especially when all my coworkers are like at least 10 years older than me. Like I'm also the baby, so
Oh yeah,
I'm an introverted millennial woman who used to be shy, and I work in a male-dominated industry, and I'm not a science-minded person, and this is like we're dealing with chemicals and like steel and shit. So I'm like really just layer on layer on layer on layer, and introverted is like the cherry on top.
yeah. I think you hit it right on the head with age also, because with people, they find out how old you are, or how old you aren't, and they try to treat you differently. Like, yeah, you're a baby, you're a child, and I'm like, I'm a grown ass man, sweetie. Like,
Right. Well, I play into the child. I don't fault anybody for like treating me like a child, because number one, I might be turning 30, but I still get carded at the movies, so I get it. Like I do look 17. It's okay. Um, and I also like when I know that it benefits me, I totally play into the younger age because it works. Like it gets me out of shit, which is kind of proves the point of like them treating me like I'm a child, because that's a very childish behavior.
yeah, like for me, like I've always looked older than I am. Like I had
Right.
gray, I started having like gray hair when I was like 13. That's
Wow.
just yeah, it's just hereditary.
That's
Um,
funny.
yeah, but when people find out like how old I actually am, then it's like, oh, you're a baby, and then they start trying to treat me like I'm young. I'm like, no, that's not happening.
Right. Yeah, people are like, wait, you're gonna be 30? I thought you were turning like 23. I'm like, I wish. Actually, no, 23 sucked. Nobody likes you when you're 23. Sorry if you're 23 and
Yeah,
listening. That's a great song. What am I gonna say?
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I definitely, I don't know. I think that the more that I've embraced my introversion, the easier that like working in an office with older men has gotten. But I've definitely had to earn my stripes, and I've had to work harder to earn my stripes than I feel like my male extroverted counterparts had to work.
Yeah, I can definitely see. I can see that. Um, but it is, it's definitely challenging. Particularly like when it comes to recognition. Because I will say this too: the credit of extroverts, they're very, or they're better adept at kind of tooting their own horn. That's something that I struggle with. Like I feel like my work should speak for itself, and it's like in to a certain extent it does, but it's like you're still kind of expected to like toot your own horn, but not too
Right.
much. And it's like, okay, well, like how much? I never know
Right. What
where
is
the
the right
balance is.
amount?
Yeah, so
Right.
it's like I've tried to kind of circumvent that by being able to have like allies that will definitely speak on my behalf. But
Oh, smart.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean that that does help because
Right.
they're better able to one, if they're powerful enough, they're able to actually not just speak on your behalf, but affect change on your behalf.
Right.
And then because I actually had someone create a job for me.
That's a
So,
compliment.
yeah. So, but yeah, I'm still it's something that I still struggle with, just to kind of not so much brag, but just acknowledge my own accomplishments. That's something that's just I don't know if I ever uh, be comfortable with doing that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it never gets easier. So I worked on a project for like months and months and months. And right now, like, my biggest struggle is that I put together a training video, and now one of my bosses is trying to get me to like promote the thing that I created to all the different teams that could benefit from it. And I'm like, well, I already put together a training video and I put together the resource. Like, what do you mean promote it? Like, they already know about it. They took the training. Like, now I have to push it even more. Like, and I feel like an extrovert or one of my extroverted friends would be like, um, would have such an easy time doing that. Like, that's right up their alley. But for me, I'm like, I don't want to be annoying. Like, I've already annoyed them enough. I've already put it out there. How much more do I have to say? So I'm like, in this in between of like this project being my baby, something I'm so proud of, and something I know could really benefit all the teams, but also like I don't know, believe it or not, guys, I'm really shy. Uh, I know a lot of people are like probably surprised by that, but I'm really shy and like it's like I already put it out there, so I don't really want to talk about it more.
Yeah, I used to get shy sometimes. I don't get shy as often. I just get drained like before I even start talking. I get like pre drained, and I just have to like try to fight through it. Um, but if I find that like once I start doing whatever my task is, I kind of just focus in on that, and kind of that helps me kind of get through whatever I'm doing. But um, yeah, I can relate to being shy.
Oh yeah, and how have you overcome that? And because I know that you've done a lot of trainings and like a lot of like um sort of leading other people on certain processes at your companies. So this is sort of a new aspect of my role, and
Hmm.
so I'm curious how you've like managed your introversion while also supporting your colleagues through what they've had to learn.
So it's interesting because I don't hold on one second. When extroverted colleagues are talking so much, I never know the proper amount of response to keep the mood lighthearted. Um, why are they talking smack to you? That's just the question. Like, are they? I laugh, but like, are they just like joking, or are they being serious about it? Because depending on that answer, I might have something for you. But to answer your question, Steph, I honestly I kind of tap into my inner asshole a little bit.
Oh, I love
You know,
that.
yeah, because it's like it can be a little bit nerve wracking when you're trying when you have to speak in public. But I just figure, hey, one, I know what I'm talking about. Like I know I put in the work. I did whatever research I had to do. I learned whatever I had to learn. I practiced. Like I sat there in the room or in the office going over this 2 or 3 times,
Okay.
going over it with my boss. So I know what I'm talking about. They don't. Even if they do, even
Oh,
if they do,
true.
yeah, even if they do, they need to see me. They
Right.
they don't know how I know it. Also, most people don't like public speaking. So the fact that I'm up there um, speaking in public already, I'm already a winner.
Right.
So they I'm not too worried about, or I'm not as worried anymore about folks like making fun of me or making jokes, because it's like, come up here. Like you're not gonna come
Right.
up here. Um, I read somewhere. No, Jerry Seinfeld did the joke years ago. saying, I think there was a recent poll of people's fears. Public speaking was number one. Death was number two. So if like the average person was at a funeral, they'd rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy. So like
That's so true. Oh
yeah,
my
it's
God,
true.
that's so funny.
It's
Gotta
like you'd
love
rather be
Jerry.
dead than you can speak in public.
That's
So
so
like I
funny.
think about that, and that's what I focus on, and that kind of helps me get through whatever lecture or training or like speech I have to give, because it's
Right.
people, because people fear that, or aren't comfortable with speaking in public. I do think there's that one, there's that shared kind of kinship, I guess, but there's
Mhm.
also a level of respect that they have to give you, because they can try to shit on it, but at the end of the day, I'm up there, you're up there, they're not.
Right. Right.
And then
Exactly.
sometimes you're always going to have some jerk that will try to ask a question, make a comment, trying to make you look
Trip you
bad. But
up.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, but
You look
that
dumb.
nine times out of 10, it backfires because people see through that.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And I love the people that like stand up there and like try to ask like some smart ass question. It's always nice. I like to pass the room with my friends when I know that I have to present. Um, 'Cause like my friends have my back so hard. Like when there's like some kind of like asshole like just trying to make me look dumb.
Yeah,
Um, so I'm like, that's one benefit, I guess, of being an introverted, shy, awkward, younger looking woman in the workplace. Is my friends go to bat for me. Like, you try to make me look like a dumbass, you're gonna get your ass handed to you.
yeah, and then I also kind of just try to be myself, and myself, I don't take myself seriously. So
Right,
I, I talk fast. Sometimes I talk low. I mumble.
right,
So I try to be aware of it.
right,
But I'm not going to freak out about it. Plus, I know I'm going to say something in a way that only I can say it. It may be funny, maybe not, but I'm going to be myself, and I kind of just try to roll with whatever comes. And I think people see that and appreciate that as well.
right. It seems
On
like
top of the fact that I'm prepared, so it's like,
right,
you know, but it doesn't necessarily get any more comfortable,
right,
because even like
right,
as well as I speak, or as seamless as a training goes, at the end of that, I'm still sweating down to my underwear and my socks. Like, I still got the introvert sweats. So
right,
I just get better at kind of hiding it. Wear
right.
dark clothes. So people don't see me so bad.
But you know what the worst is like when you give a whole presentation, like it's like the first time, and somebody just like asks you a question that you like just out of left field that you didn't even anticipate, and it's like I don't know, that like always trips me up. So I've been trying to get better about like anticipating what my audience might ask. Just in preparation. Like I would rather practice responding to like random questions because I always like to give time for feedback and questions and like Q&A and like discussion. So when I prepare, if I had to choose between preparing the presentation itself and just thinking outside the box of like the most obscure questions that people could possibly answer, I'd rather prepare for the questions because I hate being caught off guard. Like I know the material. I don't need to make myself crazy preparing for it, but like I find that I've had a much easier time presenting when I spend a lot of time thinking of all the crazy questions I might get asked because then I can also incorporate that into my presentation and really like make it seem like, oh, she answered the questions before I even had to ask it. I don't know.
No,
I'm just
no,
talking in
that
circles.
it definitely helps. And I think that's kind of something that we do. We overthink, but
Mm,
sometimes it's a good thing, because
yeah.
we end up thinking of so many more scenarios that may or may not happen, but
Right.
if it does happen, hey, we're we're prepared. But let me ask you this: like, have you ever just said, like, I don't know? It's a good question.
Yeah,
I found, like,
that's a
again,
better
for me
answer.
personally, like, if I don't know, or if something does kind of catch me off guard, I'll just admit it. Like, that's a good question. Let me get back to you on
Right.
that. And like,
Right. Yeah.
I'll leave, I'll leave it at that. Now, if they want to take it further, like, oh, you don't know your shit, then okay, we can go that route if you want to,
Meet
but
me outside. How about that?
catch me outside.
Did you know
But
she's having
yeah,
a baby, by the way? Sorry, that was totally
what?
random.
Say it
The,
again.
the Catch Me Outside girl is like having a baby and she's like an influencer and a rapper or something.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was
I have
totally
yeah, I
random.
have I have many thoughts on her, and they're not all good.
Bad baby.
Yeah, it just
Anyway, we were
doesn't
saying?
it doesn't seem right that she yeah, anyway, moving on.
That was my ADD hardcore. Sorry. um, no, but that's a great response, and I've definitely gotten a lot better at just saying, you know what, that's a great question. Let me get back to you on that. And 9 times out of 10, people accept that answer a whole lot better than if I were to just make it up. So
Yeah,
I learned that the hard way. Like I said, like being a young, hopeful girl trying to prove myself in like the corporate world. The first couple of years, I hated to admit that I didn't know, but I think as I've gotten more confident and grown into myself, grown into my role, understood the industry, I'm like, you know what? That's a great question. I didn't even think about that. And like I said, it's more impressive to 9 out of 10 people than if you were to just bullshit or make something up that was half-assed.
yeah. I mean, I agree. It's not a good feeling when you don't know something, but particularly something that you think you should know.
Hmm.
Even though it's something that someone asked that you probably wouldn't have an idea of, but
Right,
um, yeah, I am not too arrogant to say, hey, I don't know. Let me find out. And I'll get back to you.
right. Or,
And
oh, I hadn't thought about that. Like, great question. I'd love for us to just catch up afterwards and, like, now you include them in the process.
yeah, I mean, I look at it this way. It's an opportunity to learn something new. I mean,
Absolutely.
I didn't know anything before I learned it. So
Right,
it's
right. Exactly. And, most people aren't really trying to trip you up. Like, introvert, extrovert, most people, the reason they're asking the question is because they genuinely want to know the answer, not because they want to, like, fuck with you. So,
exactly.
that's something I also had to learn. I used to just like think everybody was out to get me. I feel like I don't know. I had a lot going on up there. Um, but I genuinely was like, everybody here is trying to trip me up. Everybody just wants me to look stupid. Like that's a crazy thought process to have, and it wasn't true. So once I let go of that, like I realized that no, like the reason they're asking these questions isn't to fuck me up. It's because they want to know how does this apply to my life? What do I need to know? How can this improve my job? They're not here to make me look dumb. Why? Who does that? We're not in high school
Yeah, I
for the
mean
most part.
that. No, I mean that unfortunately still exists, but
Yeah.
yeah, and then but at least in your case, at least it didn't turn out to be that way.
Right.
But I mean, your instincts. I will always say go with your instincts.
Right.
Like there are things. Yeah, I'm not. I'm never gonna try to speak for women, but I'll just say like there are things that you experience or have to be aware of that
Mhm.
I I won't and never
Right.
will. There are
Right.
things I have to be aware of and experience that you probably never will.
Right.
So I'm not, I'm not gonna say don't trust your instincts, but it's good that at least in this case it didn't turn out to be that way.
Right. And I think it was more just like my own, imposter syndrome. Like, it takes a while to go from being, because I started at this company that I'm at when I was 20 years old. I'm about to be 30.
Right.
So I was a kid, fresh out of college. I was still in college when I started there. So learning how to just like navigate and become part of the corporate world and learn this whole new culture, like it's a lot different than being in a college classroom, like where it's just a different vibe. So I think a lot of the stories that I had were coming from high school and college and just not really knowing that like in the corporate world, for the most part, people are adults and act like it. Um, so for the most part, not always. Um, but anyway, I kind of want to go back to a question that came up, or a comment that came up earlier. The real Queen Nay. I realized that we kind of skipped over it by accident, but the real Queen Nay says, "This is why I turned to IT, because they are not expected to be talkative because they are awkward nerds." Um, and so it's so funny because I feel like so I'm curious because I feel like as I'm reading this comment, I'm thinking of all the IT people in my office, and I don't think of them as awkward nerds, but I'm curious if like there's maybe more of like a rhetoric here, or like just like a stereotype here that maybe that maybe this person felt like, oh, there's a stereotype that like IT people are awkward nerds and I'm an awkward nerd, so I'd be great at that.
Um, I think I can see where
I can see both,
yeah,
but
like
I'm just kind of
I can
like,
definitely see where a person's coming from because I think yeah, historically, stereotypically, whatever, folks in IT, like you envision someone just like in a room in front of a computer doing this
right,
all day, not really interacting with anybody. Um, and there are professions that I guess kind of give that image, like an
yeah,
accountant, I guess, is kind of the stereotype is just someone sitting in front of a computer on Excel all day, even though a lot of CEOs have a background in accounting and they're out there
right,
talking to people. Um, a lot of finance directors have a lot of accounting experience and they're talking with all the other directors. So
right,
I'm kind of with you. Like in my experience dealing with folks that are in IT, they're not the most they're not the most chatty people. I'll say that, but like
right.
they're not
They're
mute.
not always
Like
an awkward nerd.
yeah, but in I don't I've never seen anyone in IT that was kind of awkward. I don't know because like to me I I would think like if you're working somewhere that has an IT department, um, a big part of IT is customer service. So they're
Right.
dealing with people. They might not be like the most polite or whatever, but like there's an interactive component to their jobs.
Right.
So I don't I understand where the person is coming from. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it.
Right. And we're not trying to call you out. I'm just kind of pondering this question. Like, I feel like, I mean, you can think of a lot. I can definitely think of a lot of jobs that you probably have to be more social. And, like, IT is probably not one that I would put in that bucket. Like, you don't have to be social. It's probably really beneficial. Like, my little sister is extroverted as they come, and she is in IT. And it it probably definitely benefits her because she's been able to like rise up in the ranks as a woman who can code or whatever, a girl to code is what they call it. um but she's chatty as they come, and she's definitely gotten a couple promotions, so it's not necessarily a role where I would automatically categorize them as like talkative or not talkative. Like, they're not salespeople or marketing people or CEOs necessarily, and those are the people that I would picture as having to be super extroverted and talkative. But I don't know. I just thought that
Yeah,
was
I
an
mean,
interesting point.
like in IT one, that I think a lot of people don't like. There are a lot of positions in IT. IT is a very large field.
Yeah, yeah. True.
But I do think that yeah, there is kind of the stereotype of what a person in IT is, even within that field. So it's like, but I also think that there's opportunity there because like you said, if you're good in IT from a technical standpoint, and you have great people skills, I think you stand out because of how people view IT. People view how people in IT work or
Right.
how they are. Like they don't envision someone who I guess is excellent people skills and knows the and knows C plus plus.
Right.
So it's like I don't know if that's good or bad. Um,
Right.
if you get promoted, I think it's probably great, but on the industry as a whole, probably not.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's so. I think the reason that that comment really caught my eye, that I just have been thinking about it like this whole time, is because I feel like you don't really need to have a certain personality, or at least as far as extroversion or introversion is concerned, to take on a certain role. I think that you could excel at pretty much any role as an introvert or an extrovert. I mean, I know salespeople who are introverted, believe it or not. I know um, lots of leaders and CEOs and musicians and artists are introverts, believe it or not. Well, I know you believe it, but some people who are listening might not. Like, I actually read somewhere that Taylor Swift, who I know you love,
Yeah.
Swifties, Swifties, we love you. Don't add us. But I heard that Taylor Swift is actually an introvert, which blew my mind. Um, but it also, in some ways, makes sense. Like, for somebody to be that creative and that, like, intense of a songwriter, and, like, just the way that she markets her whole brand, it gives introverted vibes.
Yeah,
Um,
I can see that.
yeah, so I feel like, you know, there's no there's no requirement to be an extrovert or an introvert in any given role in the workplace. I mean, I'm sure there are certain qualities of each that could probably help you in specific roles, but like where you fall short in that role because you're an introvert or an extrovert, I'm sure being whatever you are, you'll make up for it in other ways.
Yeah, like I don't think there's a field or industry or career that an introvert can't be successful in.
Right, absolutely. I mean, please don't make me ever be a salesperson, but but that's a me thing, not an introvert thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have to learn. I am learning how to market better. I have
Oh
to. So
yeah. Well, for your
yeah,
business, for sure.
yeah. That's. It's not easy. It's not always fun. Sometimes I wish I could just make content all day.
Right.
But yeah, it's something that I have to do, and it's interesting because the people that I learned, the two main people that I learned from are introverts, and they're dope
Right.
at marketing.
Absolutely. And I mean, one of my marketing, actually, all of my marketing gurus, I hate that word, but I can't think of a different one. My marketing, what the hell? Um, my peeps who have taught
Hey,
me about marketing are, I believe, they're all introverted, and they're all fabulous at it. So wouldn't trade them for the world. Anyway, it's that time of night where I am getting hungry,
yeah,
and we have officially been talking about the workplace for an hour after I worked for 8 hours at the workplace. So kind of tired of talking and thinking about work. At least for today.
Yes.
So, guys, should we do this again? I mean, we have a whole slew of episodes to release. We just wanted to release the workplace one before the next couple, just because it makes sense order-wise. And unfortunately, when we went to look last night, we were like, "Oh shit, that episode is MIA. Like, where did it go?" That is my worst nightmare. Like, thank God it was just us on that episode, and we didn't have a guest. Oh my God, we have to make sure that never happens.
Definitely.
Although if you're a guest on our podcast, you have to know by now that we are just very informal, and that might happen.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this definitely been an awesome discussion. We gotta let the folks know about our event on Monday.
Yeah. So we do have an event on Monday. If you're in the New York City area, normally we have like a little blurb at the beginning of each episode, which I guess we can still put in this one when we upload it. But we have an event at Mocha Dolce. Mocha Dolce. It's like a coffee shop with a speakeasy, and it's on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. It is for podcasters, people who are starting a podcast, people who are thinking of starting a podcast, people who want to be on a podcast, people who like podcasts. If you are any of the above, or you just want to come support us and meet us in person, we can give you our autograph. Just kidding. Come on by on Monday. We'll be there all day on the 29th from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. Tickets are $10 a person, and you can also buy lunch or drinks for purchase. And we'll just be there co-working, mixing, sharing ideas, collaborating, coming up with, I don't know. Oh, and we're giving out merch.
Yes. We're going to raffle off some merch. So come on down.
Like I said, I'm not a salesperson, not because I'm an introvert, just because I'm me, but if you're sold